Hey, howdy. Before I started recording, I was chilling with a bunch of people in the library, and they got the Nova bot to say "Obento" over and over again. It was pretty spectacular. I think the dailies, what we got? Floating Stone World, another Moomer Rope one. Floating Stone is... Yeah, it's the grass road. Also, is that art? This is art. Oh, shoot! Awesome. Art, good art. Sometimes I wish that I was more talented. I don't know why I'm saying sometimes. I do wish that I was more talented at art. They've been talking about working retail. It's just reminding me of when I worked retail. Because when I worked for about a year and a half at a Chick-fil-A. And I think I've talked about working at Chick-fil-A before, but it's always a fun story when I talk about it because there's a lot of misconceptions about Chick-fil-A that are always funny to bring up and clear up. I think I might just do free expeditions. Neon Highway is kind of a pain, but I'll do it. But there's a lot of misconceptions and like weird mythos about Chick-fil-A that I don't fully understand, but I think it's just because outside of like the deep South Bible Belt, you don't see Chick-fil-A that often. So there's a lot of kooky mythology that's sort of formed around it and around the people that work there and the people that go there, made up by people who have never been there in their life. Okay. Walking back and forth between the second and third looping sections 20 times will take you to Neon Highway, so I gotta go up and then go between the second and the third. But the primary thing that I always hear about Chick-fil-A is that there's this sense that, especially with like more recent controversy like the diversity officer thing, that Chick-fil-A is 100% like super crazy religious, and everyone that goes there has a Bible in their pants pocket and crosses their heart whenever they flip a chicken, whenever they flip a piece of chicken, and say their prayers before they go on lunch, before they eat when they go on lunch break. Now I'm gonna be completely honest. I wasn't paying attention to how many. Let me just go back real quick. Most of the people that work at Chick-fil-A are working there because it is a fast food restaurant. Okay, so let's see. The second and third looping sections. Okay, I forgot if this counted or not. Okay, so this is the first looping section. This is the second, and then between the second and third. So this This one coming up on the right, I just gotta dart back and forth for a while. But there's this sort of mythos that everyone that works there is super religious and hates gay people and is a super crazy Catholic, and that's just not the case. Because at the end of the day, Chick-fil-A is a fast food restaurant, and it may be privately owned, but the way that it works, it has sort of McDonald's setup where Truett Cathy, or I forget the dude's name, it's one of the Cathys, may own the business, but all of the individual stores are owned by a, they're owned by a store manager. And that store manager is probably a religious man or woman themselves, but they're not necessarily representative of the Cathys and their weird, crazy political views. And as you go down to just like generic front of house, back of house, that starts to dissolve even more, and you end up with people that are actually very cool. Like, I met some great friends working at Chick-fil-A, and it definitely didn't help that, that Chick-fil-A that I worked at was one of those places that was like, yeah, it was right next to the high school, so we'll hire any high schoolers that come here looking for a job. And you'd think that that would mean that there would be a bunch of shiftless high schoolers working the gigs, but honestly, the shiftless people were the ones that weren't high schoolers. And even then, everyone usually did their thing. There was like, I think there was one stoner, but everyone else did their job very well. And I got a lot of respect for people that work in service and work in retail, because damn, those jobs suck. And COVID kind of helped people to recognize that. And, like, okay, it's definitely been more than 20 times, I think. But, like, damn, this job sucks. But luckily, people seem to be fully aware of that, which is nice. But speaking of mythos, there's a lot of really weird sort of ideas about how the food is prepared. Like, I don't exactly know where this sort of stuff comes from. Oh, jeez, this is kind of okay. Never mind. Actually, has the potential to be really bad, but I can just go through Urasuki's dream apartments and I'm fine. Like, I remember hearing from my aunt, was asking me questions about Chick-fil-A when I still worked there, and was asking, like, hey, so is it true that they taught that they brine the chicken in pickle brine? And it's like, where do you get this information from? Like, no, of course not. Though, I will say, we did use pickle brine for something that wasn't to put on pickles. And it wasn't anything gross, but it was like, it was like for efficiency, basically. That, long story short, we would fry everything in these big deep fryers, and sometimes those deep fryers would clog up with a whole bunch of, like, basically the chicken crap. And given enough time, it would completely fill up the very bottom of the deep fryer where the drain is, and we would have to clean it all out. And especially when we're breaking down everything, we would completely drain it out and clean it properly. And when you're doing a full clean like that, sometimes it's best to toss in a bit of pickle brine, because the acid helps to clean the bottom and wash out some of the oil. It's not perfect, but it definitely helps. It's not like this miracle agent. It's not like people that put Coke on cars to remove rust or something like that, which I still don't understand to this day. How do you get here? Ah. Let's try this way. There's a path to Bloodworld in here somewhere. Ah, there you are. Okay. So straight right and then straight up. Oh, weird. But there's a lot of cool stuff, and this is proprietary, but it wasn't. It's not like I'm saying the secret formula or anything. This is just like weird things that we did. First off, dishes. There were a lot of dishes, not as many as you would probably get working at a restaurant, because it was fast food, of course. So there were no plates. But even though there weren't plates, there was still a lurking fear whenever you worked on any sort of dishwashing, because you would also have to bounce back and forth between dishwashing and whatever else the hell you needed to do. We would take it in shifts and kind of like go between the stations based on who was good at what to make it through the day. I ended up getting stuck on dishwashing because I'm actually a pretty good dishwasher. I'm very fast and efficient. But I know better than anyone, there are two things that are just awful to clean. Oh, Sugar Road. Hell yeah. I think I still have the, oh. I think I still have the telephone line open for that. But the two things that to always be wary of when you're dishwashing are raw dishes and mac and cheese. Now the first one is pretty obvious because, you know, working at a fast food place, especially for washing the dishes manually, raw chicken cannot touch on non-raw stuff. If it does, well, congratulations, you now need to rewash everything. I have never even seen this place before. Interesting. Huh. I guess we're going back to Sugar Road then. But raw chicken, that makes a lot of sense. The more lurking pain was the cheese. Oh my god. Because fun fact about the mac and cheese, it is not pre-made. We would make it all on site. So that leads to some very unique problems that only would come up if you actually like made the stuff yourself. Like, for example, having to clean all of that just, oh god, I hate. Anyone who's tried to like wash dishes that have cheese on them, it is just the worst possible thing. There's like cheese and also lettuce. Lettuce is insidious. Lettuce leaves are insidious little buggers, and they will stick onto anything that if you're not careful. It's just such a weird thing to complain about, but it's like, oh god. That I remember pretty distinctly. Another thing that came up, speaking of we do everything in-house, the lemons. Oh, good lord, the lemons. Because, fun fact about Chick-fil-A is that the lemonade is actually one of the best-selling products in all of Chick-fil-A's menu. I think it's the lemonade, then the tea, and then the regular chicken sandwiches in that order, if I remember correctly. Either that or the tea and the sandwiches are swapped, but lemonade is pretty cleanly number one. So the thing about that lemonade is, again, it's not sourced from anywhere. We make it in-house. Which means that some poor sap has to squeeze all those lemons. And that is something that they stick the new guy on a lot. So back when I was working there for the first few months, I got to squeeze a lot of lemons. But what else comes to mind? Oh, yeah. There were two types of oil that we used. I believe it was canola oil for the fries and peanut oil for everything else. And we had these big jugs that we would fill the fryers up with. And if you put the wrong oil in the fryer, the back-of-house manager would kill you. And if they didn't, everyone else certainly would. Okay, so I gotta go to toilets. Because keep in mind what that means if you're foolish enough to put the wrong thing in. That contaminates your deep fryer with the wrong oil. So suppose that someone is allergic. That ain't gonna fly. So now you have to completely, not only do you have to filter lockout, you have to completely drain the deep fryer and clean it thoroughly and completely refill it. And in doing so, you have to wait for it to cool down to room temperature, and then it has to heat up back to, like, boiling oil temperature. So, that is the worst case scenario. It has never happened to me. Hell, I don't think it happened to any of us when we were working, but, like, it's the ultimate fear is doing that and then spending genuinely, like, 45 minutes cleaning it up and atoning for your mistake. Dream Pool has gotta be somewhere in here. What else was there? Oh, yeah. Perk of the job. Oh, wait. Neck. A perk of the job was there was some food that wouldn't keep between days. And it's not the food that you would think of. It was specifically the spicy fillets in the spring and summer, I believe. I forget when they don't serve. Oh, right. I forgot about this. I have to equip invisible. I completely forgot about this gimmick. I think if I just equip invisible all the way through, I'll get to where I need to go. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going, but I'm going off of like what I vaguely remember about this place. Uh I don't know. The map certainly ain't helping. HowOne.io. That's a very weird concept. Which, I still gotta play that game. That is like classic RPG Maker horror. Okay, this should be pretty distinct. Nope, I still have no idea where I'm going. Oh well. I'm fine with just talking. Meh. Just shoes. I'm just going. Okay, that's where I came in. I have not gone this way yet, I don't think. Every once in a while, I will see hearkenings back to the old days of the internet. I'd say the good old days, but it had some problems. God, back when YouTube had a stars system. I was never around that early on. I give up. Dark Nexus can't be that. Can't be. Oh, the stupid chair. This chair is stuck in the carpet. There we go. I mean, I feel like that's the fun thing about the internet is that there's this assumption that think like excuse me, after a certain amount of time when something isn't used, it disappears. But with the internet, everything is preserved into perpetuity. Eh. So there's all these things that people kind of assume are lost, but they're not really. It's kind of just that no one goes on them anymore, but you could go and find them. Also, I've heard people call this place a skate park, and it really is. It's kind of hilarious. But the way to really appreciate the basically the backside of the internet, not the dark side per se, but just like the backside, is to do anything with like programming. It will change the way that you see the internet, and I'm not talking about the like HTML. I'm talking Stack Exchange. Nothing says nothing says internet archaeology like sifting through God knows how many articles looking for an explanation for an API that you find the explanation and it's 5 years old and you just have to hope to God that it still works. Or like Magic the Gathering, playing Magic the Gathering with your friends, finding an interaction that you're not sure about, and having to sift through 8+ years of varying accounts of what's supposed to happen. It really changes the way you look at the digital world. And like looking on Stack Exchange and finding all manner of people with all manner of different code. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, some of it doesn't even work anymore, but you just sift until you find what you're looking for. The PopCap stuff has also really helped with that there's so many old websites that I didn't really give the time of day before, but it's so nice that they're still around. Because otherwise, all these games and all this software and all this stuff would be completely lost. But they're kind of just not. And that's the fun part. Okay, I forgot how loud that was. We get to do our own archaeology. And that's the thing that makes it a lot more fun. The archaeology can be frustrating, but at the end of the day, you get to come to your own conclusions. And that's something that's really hard to do in the internet nowadays. Because again, everything's so centralized in social media, in game distribution software like Steam or Epic Games. Like everything is so central. It's so much harder to find a website that you just get lost in. But I don't know, maybe like in the description I'll link a website that I can think of that's I just like spent a whole day just reading through and learning about this stuff, or about the stuff that was inside of it. But the old internet's still out there. We just got to get better at recapturing it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I think that's all I got. Well, thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna go look at that thing, and I'll post it in the description.